What's up, folks? Welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I have Jessamyn Dodd joining me today. She used to work for the Epic Times. She was in the entertainment division, and now she's signed a contract with MSN. She's going to be going on to some big networks. I can't reveal what those are, but she reached out to me concerning Nicki Minaj. Now, I've made my voice very known on what I feel about Nicki Minaj, especially her affiliation with the 𝗬𝗶𝗋𝗄𝗎, which has been completely hijacked, by the way. I've made my voice very well known on what I think about Nicki Minaj, but I did post some posts that she released, and I'm going to read some of those to you, and then I'm going to bring Jessamyn on to talk about Nicki Minaj pointing fingers. Maybe it's the kettle calling the pot black or the pot calling the kettle black here. So she's going to reveal some information on Nicki Minaj. Now, I've always said she's known for her twerking, for her degenerate behavior, and what I believe. And now we're supposed to just accept her open arms. What I think is happening here is I believe, now this is just my opinion, she was pulled aside, read the riot act, and given a choice on what lane to pick. And I think she's picked the lane of, all right, I got a lot of followers. They know this. I'm going to work for the right side of history and call everyone out to my followers. And I think that's what's happening here. Now, do I have proof on that? I don't have proof on that, but I'm going to go ahead here. But I know it's very obvious. There's a picture right there that she's in with Trump now, and Trump's enjoying this. So she holds a lot of power. She holds a lot of power, particularly with the younger generation, the black vote, the whole thing. So let's get into what she's doing here. So I want you to show some of the posts. And I'm just going to read some of this. So your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and unalive them as a form of a blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up. The 𝗷𝗃𝗓. You know who that is. You know who she's referring to when she says the jig is up. Jay-Z, baby. Now, folks, I talked about this in 2020 when nobody was talking about this. I brought this up in 2020. That's the video that went viral. I talked about this subject exclusively, which put me on the map, and I was able to create my own podcast from there. That was 6 years ago. I kind of kicked open the door. Myself and obviously 𝗬𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗶 was before me. I got to give credit where credit is due. But it says here they're flying in immigrants to vote because they reneged on all of the promises they made to African Americans and can no longer get the African American vote by default. They're causing distractions in the streets to distract from the billions they stole from taxpayers. So I believe Nicki Minaj is a psyop. They're using her as an operative to persuade and influence the younger generations, particularly the blacks. As they do that, go ahead and go to the next one, Alex. Okay, so let's read that one there. What does that one say? Maybe I should discuss the brainwashing techniques they use. Imagine if a 30-year-old rapper was out here with a 16-year-old in this day and age, and how y'all would have his head on a platter. The guy was hugging and humping on teens in broad daylight. Next, I'll get on the owner of the Shade Room and more. Let's get to the next one. Sorry, I'm reading it so slow, folks. Hey, yo, it's the boxing. Okay, and this one says, okay, I already read this one, Alex. Get to the next one. Okay, that one. There we go. Let's go to that one. All right, this one says, are you all understanding that these people have been sacrificing children as a way of gaining and maintaining power? This is something I said 6 years ago. If you ever vote Democrat, again, you're just as soulless as they are and will perish. Maybe it's time for me to do some story times, since I was trying to not say what I know, yet they continue to attempt bullying. Also, I won't be releasing an album until my contract is renegotiated, until I tell you about all the sabotage this Rico is finding about the billboard. So she's coming clean, and she's letting people know that what she stands for. Is there another one on there, Alex? There should be another one. No, I already read that one. So let's bring Jesse. Yeah, I read all these. So let's bring Jessamyn on. Jessamyn, thank you so much for joining me. This is, when I posted these on X, she said, "Hey, do you know whose side you're taking here? Nicki Minaj, she's a hypocrite." And I said, "Well, I mean, I saw what you sent me, and I'll let you go into this and let you state your case. But I do feel in my heart of hearts that I feel that she's maybe been pulled aside and read the riot act and been told what to do here. I think she's playing the cards that she was given, specifically by the Trump administration, or I like to call the Trump operation, and she's playing a role here. What's your thoughts on that?"
Well, first of all, I just want to say all of my thoughts here today are my own. They don't represent my network. They don't represent my employer. It's all me. And I want to stick to the facts because I saw you. The first thing that I thought when Nicki walked out on stage with 𝗬𝗃𝗃 was, oh no, not because I don't listen. I like some of Nicki's music. I went to a Britney Spears concert and Nicki opened up. It was her first big show.
Oh, that's it. You're off my program. You're off my, no, that's it. Just kidding.
Listen, there are a couple of songs that I like, but she's off of my playlist when I started to find out some of her personal things. I have a very hard line when it comes to protecting children and women. I don't care who you are, what party you belong to, what your status is. Even Charlie Kirk said Nicki Minaj is a bad role model for Black girls. He said that. He said for African American girls. And let me explain why. We have all this Epstein stuff coming out right now, and propping up Nicki right now does not look good. Maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with Nicki. They don't follow hip hop news, or they don't really understand. Now, let me be clear. What she's saying about Jay-Z is 100% valid. It doesn't take away from that, okay? But I just want to give you a little background. So Nicki Minaj, her husband, Kenneth Petty, he is a registered, can I say sex offender on here?
You can say that, but just don't use the P word.
Offender. He's a registered offender. He's got a criminal history. And part of that includes a 1995 conviction for first-degree attempted R-word and a 2006 conviction for first-degree manslaughter. In 1995, he had his first-degree essay case. It was a 16-year-old girl. Almost 4 years. He was released in 99. 2006, he pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter for the 2002 fatal shooting of someone named Lamar Robinson. He was sentenced to 10 years, and he was released in 2013 after serving 7 years. Now, this is where he meets Nicki in 2019, and they get married. 2020 to 2022. So this is after he marries her.
She knows about his past.
She knows who she said, I've known this man since childhood. So she knows about the SA conviction, and she knows about the manslaughter conviction. So he and Nicki get married, and they move to California. He was arrested when they moved to California for failure to register as an SO, as an offender, right? So he pleaded guilty. That was in 2021. In 2022, he was sentenced to 1 year of house arrest and 3 years of probation for failure to register. And he was also given a $55,000 fine. 2023, we're getting a little more recent now, right? 2023, that is when he made a video, and he made these remarks in a video to 𝗬𝗏𝗃, who happens to at the time was married to Cardi B, and he is the father of Cardi B's children. If you know anything about the hip hop rivalry, you know Nicki and Cardi have always gotten into it. They got into a huge fight at the Met Gala.
He's also the father of Cardi B's child.
Mm-hmm.
This guy?
Is it no, this guy? 𝗬𝗏𝗃. No, that's Nicki's husband. Nicki's husband, Kenneth Petty. He made a video about 𝗬𝗏𝗃, who's married to Cardi B.
Who am I looking at right here?
That's Kenneth. That's Nicki's husband. Those are all his mugshots.
Okay.
So he made a video about 𝗬𝗏𝗃 and threatening violence. Okay. He made these threats to 𝗬𝗏𝗃 in a video. He was sentenced to 120 days of house arrest because that's a violation of his probation and his parole. So here's the thing, is that Nicki has publicly defended her husband. She's still married to him. She knew who he was. She said, yes, I've known him since childhood. So when the 1994 victim, in 2021, there was a defamation and a case, excuse me, where the 1994 victim of the assault, right, with the 16-year-old, there's a civil suit that came out against Nicki and Kenneth, her husband, saying that she was being threatened and harassed. Now, the judge, after hearing a lot of the things, took Nicki off of the case, but the one with Kenneth went ahead forward, and the judge agreed that that could proceed, but Nicki wasn't involved. This is all stuff that's happened since he's been married to her. So when she first came out at Turning Point, I went, oh, and then she's, you know, I appreciate her speaking up for Christians in Nigeria. That is commendable. But going into to Trump and Mar-a-Lago at this time, I don't think people really know about her background.
So
you know what I mean?
What I'm hearing you say is basically she's a hypocrite, and she's married. She was married to one, an offender. So who is she?
She is still married to an offender.
Oh, she's still married to this guy?
They're married. They're married to this day.
Ooh.
Not only that, Nino, but do you know about her brother?
No, I don't need
okay.
her. I just know she likes to twerk.
Well, she's got some really suggestive lyrics. She does like to twerk. And well, let's talk about her brother, because this builds on the company that she keeps. You are only as good as the people around you, right? So her brother, 𝗬𝗯𝗍 Mirage, he was convicted and sentenced to 25 years to life for repeated SA of an 11-year-old girl who happened to be the daughter of his girlfriend.
What?
This was in 2017.
So her husband's one and her brother's one.
Her brother's in jail.
Here she is talking shit about Jay-Z,
yeah,
Jigga Man, and here she is surrounded by them.
Well, let me tell you what she did with her brother. She paid when he got arrested, and there was the little girl's testimony. Also, the little girl's brother said that he witnessed it. So he was a witness. So that's 2 children in the house. This apparently took place when the mother was at work and he was supposed to be at home with the kids. Now, when he was arrested, Nicki put 2 of her houses up for collateral and paid his bail.
She bailed this guy out.
She bailed him out. DNA evidence confirmed. She bailed him out. She put her houses up, 2 houses in Long Island. DNA evidence confirmed the abuse. There was DNA kits, SA kits done. There was psychological evaluations. There's a witness. So not only that, but after he was convicted, when it came time to sentencing, she wrote a letter of support for her brother.
Wow.
So that's who we're dealing with. Because
Okay,
me,
so
I don't care if
no
it's
right
a family member.
She has no right to point fingers at anybody. And go on TP USA. So to me, that goes along with my theory that she was pulled aside, probably read the Riot Act and said, look, you have a huge audience, a huge influence. We can help you with X, Y, and Z, but you need to do A, B, C, and D. And I think that's probably, and this is just a theory. I don't have no proof on this, folks. This is just what I think is happening here, because now she's going on TP USA stage. She's outing the Jigga Man. I mean, and she's going to help the Republican Party in 2028, and they're going to need this for 2028, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the thing is, what I've been looking at a lot of people online is a lot of Black women saying, we don't vote by what a celebrity tells us to, but there are people that are they're called Barbs, her fan, and they're still like, we're going to support Nicki no matter what. So she has pull, she has influence. And the fact that people will look past all of this, it's head scratching for me. because I remember when what was it, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis wrote letters for what was it, that 70s Danny Masterson. They wrote letters in support of Danny Masterson, and they were like, "You're not working again." Everybody canceled them, unfollowed them. Ashton had to step down from his nonprofit, you know, because it was. They're like, how can you work at a nonprofit for kids and this is what you're supporting? So my thing is that if the Republican Party wants to put someone up on the platform who's going to advocate for them, who's going to be, you know, speak for Christians in Africa, who's going to, you know, whatever. It's just this, it's right message, wrong messenger. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I can definitely see what you're getting at here. It's very hypocritical. And I'm looking at the bigger picture, and, you know, I definitely understand what you're saying, but I believe she's going to be used to take down the Democratic Party and throw people under the bus. I think it's about her being intercepted. I look at her the same as Elon Musk. She was intercepted. I think, you know, like Elon was a black cat intercepted, and when he's working for Trump now, I think this is the same type of thing going on here. I do agree with you 100%. I agree with you that wrong messenger, no doubt about it. But if she, just hear me out, as a Christian, right? Everyone knows my past was pretty bad. But, you know, if she's trying to better herself and become a better person and she's a believer in Christ, I got to give her the benefit of the doubt and give her a chance and see what she does. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I agree with you. A lot of people have a past, right? But they do the work, you know. They redeem themselves.
Let me just elaborate on that for a second. I think the one sin that's not forgivable is anything with children.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I just believe,
100%.
Yeah, I can't see past that. If you do that, better to throw a millstone around your neck and throw you into the ocean, right? Isn't it say something like that?
I mean, I agree. I've been very open about that. I think I've said that on my show the other day. I said, if you hurt a child in that way, you should never see the light of day. And her brother, again, is serving 25 to life. So, but these predators can't get away with it without people looking the other way. And in my opinion, she's still to this day looking the other way. She might redeem herself. She needs to, I mean, it depends on her next moves. Is she going to divorce him? We don't know. Is she going to stand beside him? Is, you know, for his crimes? Is she going to denounce him? Now, a lot of people do have a coming to Christ moment, and she is a woman. And as a woman, we should not be supporting these predators, you know, and I don't think she's the right cheerleader for the Trump administration, especially at this time when we are getting videos and photos and list dumps of just horrific things that have happened. You know, she's kind of got that Ryan Garcia thing going on, although Ryan, where he kind of said, this is what's going on. There are evil people in Washington and in Hollywood, and people thought he was crazy, but it turns out he's not crazy.
What else have you heard? I know you're digging deep into this stuff. This is what you do. You're an investigative journalist. What else have you heard about the Epstein files? What other names are on there that maybe are not out in the open just yet that you've seen or looked through?
Well, I mean, everybody's seen the Bill Gates issue, right? Yeah. The one that was really insane, I mean, he's no longer of this earth, but Stephen Hawking was really wild.
The dude in the chair?
Yeah, there are pictures of him with girls, and it's. I mean, that one was like,
what could he do? Sit on my face.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, Jay-Z. The thing that I really can't stand is when people say, well, it was a different time back then. Yeah, that doesn't make it right. There were a lot of, you know, people say the same thing. Like, God, I love Led Zeppelin, but let's look at that. What was Jimmy Page was with a 13-year-old girl.
Jerry Lee
stalking
Lewis.
her. Jerry Lee Lewis.
I mean, Elvis Presley, right? Priscilla Presley was 14.
Yeah. Everybody says, oh, it was a different time. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't mean it's okay. And Jay-Z, everybody was talking about Jay-Z and R. Kelly, but no one was doing anything to stop it. They just got away with it. You know,
Well,
parents
the
signed
floodgates,
off to make their kids famous.
the floodgates, yeah. And there's some names that I don't want to name, I guess, because I don't want to get a lawsuit, but there's some people out there that I've heard through some channels in Hollywood that I'm expecting to come to light on the Epstein files. Very prominent actors, and I think they're terrified. I'm pretty sure everyone's terrified. They're just waiting for that shoe to drop any moment. And I think, do you think someone like Jay-Z can rebound from this, or is his career over?
Oh, look, here's the picture of Jay-Z. You know, R. Kelly is in jail, and Jay-Z's not.
But he might be. What I just asked you, I think it kind of broke up there.
Yeah.
Do you think this ruins Jay-Z's career, or do you think he bounces back from this? Do you think people will hold him accountable or not?
I would hope people would hold him accountable, but the thing is, again, everybody knew about him and older, you know, him being older, and his girlfriends Beyonce and Aaliyah and all these being very young, and no one did anything about it. You know, they talked about it, but nothing was ever happened. So will he still have a career? I don't know. He's still doing the, you know, NFL halftime shows. He's very powerful. He owns a lot of businesses. His wife is Beyonce. You know, it doesn't get more famous than that. Everybody knows her all around. She's one of the top selling artists and sells out all of her arenas. Beyonce is very quiet when it comes to her personal life. So I don't think we're going to get anything out of her. And it just depends if people start saying, well, now we knew it before, but right, you know, we got to admit at some point that it's not okay. And start hitting them in the wallet. I mean, that's really the only way, is to take away the businesses, the money, the tours, the albums, the Grammys. And
I just wonder,
that becomes a question for us as a society, is how much are you willing to look past? Oh, she's willing. She was 16 when she met him, but look, she's the biggest artist now. She did it because 16-year-olds can't consent. It doesn't matter what she got out of it.
You know, I look at someone like Beyonce and I see that, you know, it's a power couple. They were probably introduced to each other and they got married or whatever, like to move in Hollywood as a power couple. To me, she's just as guilty knowing this stuff. You know, this is kind of like Nicki Minaj, like what you were talking about, Nicki Minaj. It's the same concept. I mean, I kind of look at like Beyonce, I put her in the same category as Jay-Z. She just turned a blind eye. She knows what he did. She knows what she married, and she stayed loyal to that guy, that creep. I just hope that his fans, her fans, hold them accountable. But I have a feeling they're not going to, Jessamyn. I have a feeling that they're going to get away with this. It's almost like the banks that are too big to fail. You know, these celebrities are too big to fail type of thing. And but there's a part of me that feels like during this, and people can roll their eyes all they want. I don't care. There's a part of me that believes this operation is outing these people on purpose for down the road, for what's going to be hitting them down the road. And we're laying the foundation now with Jay-Z and others. And we've seen all Kevin Spacey, Bill Clinton. I think many more are going to come to light. This is a norm in Hollywood. If you want to get famous, if you want to get really famous, talent's not enough, folks. Just being talented is not enough. You got to join the occult. You got to get into the rituals. Right, Jessamyn?
You're right. I remember when I was first starting in Hollywood when I was younger, and I used to act and be on stage. And I remember this big producer, I'm not going to say who it was, you know, met me and my mom. And then he called me and he said, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And I was like, "I am like 17. Yeah." And he's like, "Well, you shouldn't have a boyfriend if you want to work in Hollywood." And I said, "Bye."
And that was
Forget
it for
it.
you right
I'm
there.
done. I'm out. I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. This is weird. I was like, this is weird. You know what I mean? Like, it's very weird for a grown man to tell a child that they shouldn't have a boyfriend in high school. You know what I mean? And it just,
100%.
there's so much weird stuff going on, but it's come to the point where if you don't want to sell your soul and you don't want to join in this thing and do whatever it is you need to do, like how far are you willing to go, then, you know, the only other way really is either to be super duper lucky or to be born into it. Look at all the stars. Half of the Oscar nominees last year were daughters or sons of somebody famous, you know?
Yeah, but their lives are totally screwed up just as much. I mean, look who they're, you know, they're related to people that had to get famous a certain way. So they're part of that. They're part of that by a bloodline. So, you know, that's not any better. If you ask me, they're probably more dysfunctional and screwed up in the head than anybody. So if you haven't heard of any other names that you could share with us, or what names are breaking right now?
I mean, obviously Bill Clinton,
Harvey Weinstein, Pusha T,
Harvey Weinstein,
Jay-Z.
Pusha T, Jay-Z. Of course, you know, Trump was mentioned a few times. We have to be honest that he was, and some of the things that they said were shocking, and they better be able to back it up in court. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's you know, we've got somebody at what's his name? He just I just read that someone resigned at CBS because he had a really weird relationship with Epstein, and he was listed in the files. It's you know what, Nino? It's all of them. It's everybody.
It's sure is what it seems like. And let me say,
everybody.
Let me say this.
Ellen DeGeneres, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I'll say this. I am a Trump supporter. Everyone knows that. I believe in the operation. I have enough. I've heard enough from my guests that I brought on, and enough of my own research. And being a fighter, I understand strategy, and I see where he's at and what's going on and how we're moving forward. I do believe he's the best man for the job. But I will say this: if anything is true of these allegations about Trump, I will absolutely pull my Trump card, and I will not back him anymore. So I want people to know that if anything's true, kids are off limits, folks. Kids are off limits. So if any of that is true, I will not back him anymore. So, you know, I want people to understand that. Like, I have an obligation to God and truth. And if any of this is true about Trump, if he is have these weird fetishes, whatever the hell it is, I will not back him anymore. I will pull my Trump card immediately and say, nope, he's one of them. So just putting that out there, if any of this is true, I will not back him anymore. So, Jessie, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. Where do people find you?
You can find me at jessamyndodd.com, or social media is at Jessie Dodd. I'm on X, Threads, Instagram, TikTok.
I'm going to bring you on more often. Start really diving into this stuff, and I'll bring you on more often, you know, because I got a feeling this is just going to snowball.
This is just the beginning.
And I'm not really paying as much attention to it as you are.
Yeah. Well, your producer just showed something, and it says he's out of a job, the guy on CBS. For me, for my final words here, it's not enough for someone to get fired. They need to go to jail.
100% agree with you. And on that note, folks, we're out of here. Thank you, Jessie, so much. Stay with me just for a second. Folks, please like, share, and subscribe, and help us get this information out. She's really putting everything on the line by coming out and saying any of this. I mean, I am too, right, Jessie? So,
get ready for the bars, because they are relentless. They will be in your comments.
Do you mind going to ninoscorner.tv? We can do another show there. And really dive even deeper into this on things we can't cover on YouTube?
Yes, for sure.
All right. Thank you. All right, folks, we're out.